KJA Global Channel. The Political System and Me. Series 5, Myanmar's Democratic and Federal Transition. Episode 56, The Citizen's Role, From Fear to Founding Power. There is a lie that dictatorships teach so patiently that it begins to sound like common sense. Politics is for rulers. The state is for generals. The nation is for elites. Ordinary people are for obedience. And when people are forced to live under that lie long enough, fear becomes habit. Not dramatic fear. Sometimes not even visible fear. Fear becomes a second skin. Fear is not the natural condition of citizenship. Fear is engineered. Engineered by systems that depend on silence. This subject reaches daily life before most people have language for it. Identify safe and disciplined forms of citizen founding power that strengthen truth, participation, public legitimacy, and institutional responsibility. If fear is engineered, fear can be dismantled. That is where the citizen's role begins. Not in grand speeches. In the inner shift from subject to founder. Democracy is not built only by leaders. Democracy is built by citizens who no longer accept being treated as furniture in their own homeland. This episode is about the citizen's role, from fear to founding power. Every system change, every transition, and every federal democracy depends on whether ordinary people become disciplined civic builders rather than passive spectators. A dictatorship survives when citizens believe they are powerless. The system reveal is citizen founding power and disciplined participation. A democratic transition begins inside the citizen when fear, anger, and sacrifice are disciplined into truth, participation, restraint, and institution building. In plain language, the hidden mechanism is citizen founding power and disciplined participation. The first revolution is inside the citizen. It is the movement from fear to courage as civic discipline. The citizen is not a consumer of politics. The citizen is a creator of the system. This is founding power. Before institutions change, the citizen must change. Not in identity. In posture. I cannot. It is not my business. Someone else will handle it. It is too dangerous. Nothing changes. I should stay quiet. Then the posture changes. I matter. I have rights. I have responsibilities. I can organize. I can speak truth. Dictatorships do not rule mainly by persuasion. They rule by fear. Fear is efficient. Fear is cheap compared with development. Fear is easier than competence. Fear creates obedience without legitimacy. Fear makes citizens police themselves. A society that cannot organize cannot transition safely. Nonviolence is often misunderstood as weakness. But nonviolence, when disciplined, is power. Nonviolence does not mean surrender. To understand the citizen's role, follow the transition chain. Authoritarian breakdown or collapse. Immediate civilian protection. Interim authority. Institutional reconstruction. Constitutional settlement. Democratic participation. Durable order. Each arrow asks a different accountability question. Who authorized the decision? Who had the duty to act? What record should exist? And what institution can correct failure? A broken outcome may begin far upstream. The visible harm can come from an unjust rule, an unfunded institution, a hidden record, a captured oversight body, or a remedy that exists only on paper. The chain prevents us from reducing a system failure to one personality. It identifies the point where law, capacity, evidence, oversight, or enforcement stopped working. When citizens and professionals can locate that break, criticism becomes more accurate and reform becomes more practical. For this episode, the principal mechanism is citizen founding power and disciplined participation. The production graphic must make every link readable on a phone screen and must label country-specific or proposed arrangements honestly. Under dictatorship, the citizen's role is shaped primarily by concentrated command. Information is restricted. Institutions answer upward. Challenge may carry personal risk. In a fragile democracy, formal rules may exist while patronage, unequal capacity, corruption, politicization, or weak enforcement make protection inconsistent. In a functioning federal democracy, authority is constitutionally distributed, common rights remain enforceable, and more than one institution can question, review, or correct harmful power. The label alone proves nothing. Actual performance must be tested. The viewer should compare who decides, how authority was obtained, whether records are public, whether affected people participate, and whether correction and proportionate consequence are available in practice. A democratic answer to the citizen's role must be designed, funded, staffed, reviewed, and corrected. The minimum guardrails are these. 1. Clear legal authority. 2. Publicly accessible records. 3. Independent oversight. 4. A usable complaint or appeal route. 5. Correction and proportionate consequence. These safeguards work as a system. A published rule without an independent reviewer can become theater. Oversight without records cannot see. Participation without safety can expose people. And a remedy without enforcement does not repair the harm. Global relevance. The institutional test for the citizen's role applies across political labels. Who decides? What limits power? What information is public? Who participates? And does a real correction or remedy exist? Direct Myanmar focus. Distinguish verified present conditions from proposed transitional design. Protect civilians and sensitive identities. Represent ethnic nationalities and regional institutions with accuracy, dignity, and agency. Here is the civic practice for this episode. See and ask. Name one fear that governs your civic silence, and one discipline step beyond it. Verify. Examine lawful participation routes, verified information, community safeguards, institutional responsibilities, and local risk conditions. Act. Choose one low-risk civic habit: verification, study, service, professional integrity, or lawful participation, and document 1 month of practice. Review. Record whether you can name the responsible institution, the evidence, the safeguard or remedy, and one safe next step. Where public action is unsafe, complete the exercise privately and preserve no identifying information that could expose another person. The citizen's role requires people who can refuse corruption even when corruption becomes convenient. The citizen's role is not small. The citizen is not the audience of history. The citizen is the author of the next chapter. If citizens remain in fear, the system returns. If citizens become founders, the system is rebuilt. And when founding power becomes normal, the nation crosses into a future where no one must whisper in order to be safe. The principle to carry forward is this: a democratic transition begins inside the citizen when fear, anger, and sacrifice are disciplined into truth, participation, restraint, and institution building. Ask yourself, what part of citizen founding power have I treated as normal even though it should be visible, answerable, and correctable? From me to us. In the next episode, we continue with the leader's role, power as stewardship, not ownership. The system shapes our lives. Our participation shapes the system. Subscribe. Learn. Participate. Shape the future. KJA Knowledge justifies authority.